From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Thursday, May 8th, and here are today's headlines. Advocates say 3 of the 8 Vermont farm workers arrested by immigration authorities in late April have been deported. The federal government sent Luis Enrique Gomez Aguilar to Mexico on Monday. Then, Urias Sargento and Danny Alvarez Perez arrived there yesterday. Will Lambeck is a spokesperson for Migrant Justice.
We certainly believe that the 3 farm workers who have already been deported were removed in violation of their constitutional rights, and along with their legal team, will be fighting for justice.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement did not respond to a request for comment, and we'll have more on this story and how it relates to Vermont's dairy industry following the headlines. Meanwhile, the Vermont House yesterday gave its strong preliminary approval to a bill that gives the governor an expanded role to determine if local or state police can enter into an enforcement agreement with federal immigration and customs officials, a department known as ICE. Under current law, the governor does have this authority, but there's an exemption if the president issues a national emergency declaration for a situation that threatens the public safety of Vermonters. Williston Representative Angela Arsenault, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, told her colleagues the panel thought it was important to close this loophole.
S44 eliminates this exception and keeps the governor as the sole authority in Vermont to enter into these ICE delegation of authority agreements.
The bill has already passed the Senate and is strongly supported by the Scott administration. House lawmakers were active on another immigration front, giving their final approval yesterday to a bill that lays the groundwork for a new state office devoted to helping immigrants. Burlington Representative Mary Catherine Stone says approximately 30,000 foreign-born Vermonters paid more than $500 million in state taxes in 2023 and had $1.2 billion in spending power.
Despite these contributions, many new Americans face persistent barriers in accessing essential services such as language support, credential recognition, housing.
The legislation directs a special committee to study the merits of creating a state office of new Americans. Proponents say the office would help coordinate legal, housing, and workforce services for people of all immigration statuses. Attorney General Charity Clark this week announced that Vermont has received over $23 million from tobacco manufacturers under a settlement agreement that dates back to the 1990s. In November of 1998, 52 state and territory attorneys general signed the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement with the 4 largest cigarette manufacturers in the United States. Vermont receives annual funds through the settlement, which are credited to the state's tobacco fund. Vermont has received more than $817 million to date through the settlement. Coming up, Vermont's dairy industry relies heavily on migrant workers, and because of that, farmers are keeping close tabs on recent federal immigration crackdowns. That includes the recent arrests and deportation of some migrant workers at the state's largest dairy farm. Vermont Public's Bob Kinzel speaks with Agriculture Secretary Anson Tebbetts about those arrests and the future of dairy farming in Vermont. After this. 3 migrant farm workers arrested in northwestern Vermont have been deported to Mexico. That's according to Migrant Justice. Several weeks ago, federal border agents arrested 8 migrant workers at Pleasant Valley Farm in Berkshire on suspicion that they were in the country without proper documentation. Farmers across the state have been keeping a close eye on this case because Vermont's dairy industry depends very heavily on migrant workers. Vermont Public's Bob Kinzel sat down with Agriculture Secretary Anson Tebbetts this week to discuss how this case could affect the future of dairy farming in Vermont.
Anson, I'm not sure that a lot of Vermonters are aware of just how dependent the state's dairy industry is on migrant workers. So tell us about this. How many workers are there, and what would happen to these dairy farms if these workers were no longer able to be employed there?
Well, these workers are essential. They've been in Vermont for a very long time, decades. Many of them have been on the same farm for a long time. They're part of the fabric of the farm. Many farmers tell them they consider them members of their family. So, some estimates have been anywhere from 750 to 850 workers from foreign countries are helping out with dairy. That doesn't include maybe family members that they have as well, because there may be some children, there may be a spouse, there may be a significant other as well.
So without these workers, these dairy farms would be in big trouble. How would they cope with that situation?
Well, they're essential workers. They do a lot of work around the farm. They milk cows. They do the cropping. They take care of the calves. And the reason that we rely on a migrant workforce is because there is not enough local help. And this is not unique to Vermont. Just every state has this situation, whether it's maybe in the produce world, they rely on help from other countries. So it's not unique to Vermont, and it's been with us for a while, and they're members of our community. Some of them the children go to their schools, and so it's essential if we want food, if we want to, and every day we can go on to the supermarket or the co-op or the food bank. Everywhere we go, we have an abundance of food, and we are relying on a tremendous amount of foreign help to produce that, package it, and get it to the store shelves.
So would most of these folks be considered, quote, undocumented? And what does that mean?
Well, I think there's I think most would say that some are here with the proper paperwork, and there's some most likely that may be undocumented workers. So I think that's a given, and that's been in place for a number of years. I think it started may have started in dairy in Vermont, but it's extended to other industries as well, as they've faced the same pressures of finding a workforce.
You've been in touch with a lot of dairy farmers from all across the state in the last couple of weeks. What are you hearing from them about this issue? Is there much concern out there?
I think there is concern. They're worried about their workers. They care about them. As I mentioned, some of them really feel them as part of their family, and of course they're important to their livelihood as well. So I think there is concern. I think some of the reaction is some of the migrant workforce is not going off the farm as much now as they may have prior to the new administration. So they're changing their shopping habits. Maybe they're not going out as much. Maybe they're going to a different community, maybe a smaller community, et cetera. So all those things. And I think our farmers are helping in any way they can to make our workers feel safe and protected and valued as they are.
So when they express these concerns to you, what do you tell them?
Well, we're kind of in a difficult spot. For the most part, this is a federal issue that at some point I hope we can address in a meaningful way. The workforce is here. It's been here. We hear things from Washington that we're going to protect the borders. We're going to secure the borders. We're going to do that. And some of the, violent criminals that they believe are here are going to be, taken care of and maybe deported. So maybe those things happen, and maybe we achieve that, and maybe there's a climate now to sit down and have real reform. Like, what does this look like? Because we're going to need this workforce in every single state, whether you're red or blue or whatever state we're in. We're going to need this workforce if we want, the abundance of food that we have now.
Are you optimistic about the future of Vermont's dairy industry?
I am. We just released a report. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything's rosy. That's not the case. But we did find that it is still a major player in the farm economy, and it supports other industries as well. So it's about a $5.4 billion economic engine in Vermont. There are some warts. There are some, factors in play that Vermont doesn't have a lot of influence on, and that's the federal milk pricing. Sometimes is still a yo-yo for everybody to follow.
Agriculture Secretary Anson Tebbetts, many thanks for being with us today to discuss these important topics.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Elodie Reed, Bob Kinsel, Peter Hirschfeld, and Jen Jarecki. Today's episode was edited by Liam Elder Connors, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you tomorrow.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.